اللهم صل
على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد يا علي اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين شفيع المذنبين رحمة للعالمين مولانا وسيدنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرض مولانا حجة ابن الحسن عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الإمام الباقر عليه الصلاة والسلام اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد رحم الله عبدا حبس نفسه علينا. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, tonight we are gathered to commemorate the Shahadat of the seventh Imam, Imam Babul Hawa'ij. And the time we are in, really we need the blessings of Babul Hawa'ij. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that by the haqq of this night and the haqq of this personality, that He relieves the suffering of our Shias throughout the world. He protects our mu'mineen and mu'minat. He protects especially our holy places, Qum and Mashhad, inshallah, He protects them. He brings to justice the perpetrators and He establishes the true justice on this earth with the zuhur of Imam Sahibul Asri wa Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Azizani Girami, these lectures on Imam Zaman are to build a relationship with Imam, to feel a sense of closeness with Imam, and to enact this hadith of the fifth Imam where he says, Rahimallahu abdan, may Allah have mercy on the one, habasa nafsahu alayna, who devotes himself to us. And we want to devote ourselves to Ahlul-bayt alayhimus salam. Ghaybat of Imam Zaman. Many people have a question these days, and this question has been lingering in the minds for maybe the last few years since the Middle East has erupted. The question has remained in people's minds. They say, for example, Khuda kem kai nathi karto? Why is Allah not doing anything about this situation? So tonight's lecture, I'm hoping if I can frame it correctly and if I have your support and I have your attention, then we can answer this in some way. That how do we answer this? That why is Allah not doing something? Why is Allah not answering the pleas of the people? So inshallah tonight we want to delve into this subject. Now we'll start with a little bit of history regarding our 12th Imam. Imam Zaman was born in 255 AH. Ghaybat of Imam Zaman. When we say Ghaybat of Imam Zaman, Ghaybat has been a feature of his blessed life from day one. The first thing that we see is that the whole period of pregnancy of the mother of Imam Zaman, Bibi Narjis, the whole period of pregnancy was a secret. In that sense, from even that moment onwards, there is a kind of ghaybat and a hidden element behind the wujud, the muqaddas, the blessed presence of Imam Zaman. So much so that you find in history that on the night of his birth, the 11th Imam, father of 12th Imam, says to his aunt, Bibi Hakima Khatun, whom we visit in Samarra, when we go for the ziyarat of Samarra, we visit that great personality. He tells her, tonight I don't want you to leave the house because tonight the wali of Allah is being born. And she says, but I do not see in Nargis any signs of pregnancy. And he says that the signs of pregnancy of Nargis have been hidden, just like the signs of pregnancy of the mother of Musa. So this is one thing. Even before his blessed birth, there was a kind of concealment and a hidden nature around him. So when we say ghaybat, it started from there. Imam Zaman is then born, and for the first 5 years of his life, he is only shown at times, at special times, by the 11th Imam to certain special people. And that was done, why? Because that they don't then fall into doubt afterwards. They have a yaqeen that a boy has been born who is the Imam after us, and it's been shown to us by our 11th Imam. The years go by. At the age of 5, he is seen in public. The 11th Imam is poisoned and he passes away. Imam Zaman appears at the funeral of 11th Imam to lead the namaz-e-janaza. That is the first time he is seen in public as a public kind of event. The authorities find out, they follow him, they pursue him, and he enters into ghaybat-e-sughra, the minor occultation. Ghaybat-e-sughra lasts for 69 years, and in that 69 years, he has 4 designated people, Nawab Arba'a, the 4 designated people, representatives, that you can't go wrong. Each of these, he appoints himself as his representative. The period of 69 years finishes in 329 AH. Imam Zaman now says there are no longer going to be any specific Nawab or Naibs or representatives. Now we go on to a different system. Oh Imam, if you are not there accessible to us, if your Naib is not there accessible to us, now what do we do? Imam Zaman says that now I'm not going to pinpoint a person, but I'm going to give you a list of qualities. When you find people fit into these qualities, these are the people that you should follow. These are the people from whom you should take your religion. Hadith of Imam Hasan al-Askari alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He says the following. People say, where is this taqleed come from? Who appointed these marjas? How can they tell us what to do? What is this kind of system? Have you just made this up? Have the ulama got nothing better to do other than making up this kind of system? Listen, this is what 11th Imam says. فَأَمَّا مَنْ كَانَ مِنَ الْفُقَهَا. As for those amongst the scholars and amongst the senior scholars of faith, someone who is sa'inan li nafsihi, he's very careful about his conduct. He's very careful about his own soul. He doesn't take his soul lightly. He takes his soul as a very precious thing. He knows how to protect his soul. Sa'inan li nafsihi, hafidhan li dinihi. One who protects religion, one who protects his own sense of faith and religion, his taqwa, his adalat, his taqwa is there. Mukhalifun ala hawahu. One who fights against and stands against his own desires and passions. He's not just like a worldly person like most people are, I would say. He's not just like a worldly person living day to day, having as much fun as possible, using this world as a leisure activity. He limits his passions, he limits his desires. He has less love for the world. Muti'an li amri maulahu. Someone who is utterly obedient to the law, to the orders of his master, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَلِلْ عَوَامِ أَن يُقَلِّدُوا. Then it is upon people to follow such a person. So now in Ghaybat Kubra, we are no longer left with specific pinpointed people. We have a list of qualities. Someone who fits into this list of qualities, he has all of these following qualifications, you may follow him. And this is where basically the birth of marja'iyat and taqleed takes place. So now, Azizan-e Muhtaram, we are in such a big test and calamity. And we have been in this test and calamity. And I'm using the word very carefully. It is a calamity. It is a bala. Nudba. What do we say every Friday? What do we say? Du'a? Nudba. What is nudba? Meaning of nudba, anyone? Weeping, lamenting. Du'a nudba literally means the dua which is full of weeping and lamenting. Why do we weep? Why do we lament? It is because we are in the period of the biggest trial and bala and calamity that we have ever faced. Because for 1,118 years, our Imam has been in ghaibat. And this is truly the biggest calamity and bala for the mu'mineen. There is no bigger calamity than this. The biggest bounty of Allah is the bounty of wilayat. And therefore, when this bounty is taken away and we no longer have access, it is the biggest bala. As we say in dua iftitah, Allahumma inna nashku ilayka faqda nabiyyina. Oh Khuda, oh Allah, we lament to you, we complain to you about a number of things. Number one, we no longer have our Prophet. Wa ghaybata waliyina. And our Imam is in ghaybat. Oh Allah, we lament for this. This should not sit well with anyone. Whatever happiness is in our lives, there should be a deep sense of grief that we don't have our Imam of the time. In that same dua, وَكَثْرَةَ عَدُوِّنَا, we find so many enemies against us. Please apply this to the current time. I won't say more, but apply this to the current time. وَشِدَّةَ الْفِتَنِ بِنَا, there is so much fitna and fasad against us. وَتَظَاهُرَ الزَّمَانِ عَلَيْنَا, Khudaya, the world, the time, the zaman, the time, the people, it all seems to be against us. Yes or no, Azizan? All of this, why? We are crying out that, oh Allah, there is only one solution to all of these problems, and that is the faraj, the rescue of Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So we should lament, and we should cry, and we should weep. We should lament, and we should cry, and we should weep over this. Yes, Azizan. Unfortunately, we have become used to this because we've never experienced a time when we had access to an Imam. Now that we don't have that access, we have become used to this. It's like this is the norm. It's not the norm. This is against what should be happening. What should be happening is that our hearts should be breaking that we don't have access to our Imam. Look at this. Sudair, the great companion of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He says, me and a few of our companions, we went to the house of the sixth Imam. We saw he was sitting on the floor and he was weeping and he was saying the following. I won't say the Arabic, we have got so much to get through. I'll just stick to the main points. And we saw that he was sitting and weeping and saying the following. My master, your ghaibat has torn the sleep from my eyes, has made my rest constrained, has removed the comfort of my heart. So there says we were alarmed. You imagine you walk into the house of the sixth Imam and you see him saying these words, weeping. We were alarmed, and I said to him, Mawla, what has happened? Has there been any calamity? And he replied, O Sudair, I recalled the ghaibat of my son Mahdi and the troubles of my Shias. How much dard-e-dil, kitna dard-e-dil hai? How much dard-e-dil do they have for? How much pain of the heart our Imams have for us? Because they know that when you don't have wali zaman, when you don't have wali khuda, all of these things will happen. All of these things can happen. So, why do we have this ghaibat? Why has Allah put us into this situation? Why don't we have access to the Imam? There are a number of reasons behind this. Allow me to explore this further with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. There are a number of reasons and wisdoms behind the ghaibat of our 12th Imam. Let me start with the obvious ones. The first is that this is one of the sunnats of Allah. What is sunnat? Sunnat means what? Sunnat, we used to use it once upon a time as mustahab. We used to say wajib, sunnat, mubah, jaiz, makruh, haram. Okay, but sunnat actually means tradition or practice. That is the literal meaning of sunnat. It means a tradition or a practice. The way the Holy Prophet has a sunnah or a sunnat, the way Amir al-Mu'mineen has a sunnat, Allah has a sunnat. There are certain sunan. Sunan means plural of sunnat. There are certain sunan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of his sunnats is this, that when He gives you a bounty. Listen very carefully, Azizan Girami. When He gives you a bounty and you do na shukri, kufran ni'mat, you reject that bounty, you don't appreciate it, you don't use it properly, He removes that bounty. This is a sunnat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has given you strength, O Muslims, He has given you strength. Now you are so busy infighting and fitna and fasad and ghibat and tohmat and all of these things. That strength He has given you, you'll see it dissipates. He has given you wealth, but you misuse your wealth in such ways that wealth will then not have any barakat in it. He has given you, for example, wonderful families. He has given you the barakat of having a brilliant family. You misuse that family. You be rude to your parents. You disregard your family members. You're harsh on your spouse. The woman doesn't respect the husband. The husband is harsh on the woman. That family will disintegrate. Everything, this is a sunnat of Allah, that when He gives you a bounty and you don't appreciate and you misuse, then that bounty is taken away. And you will think, how suit you? What has happened to us? Once upon a time we were like this. Once upon a time we were like, how many times do we hit our heads and we say, "Tamne yaad che agao keu hato?" Do you remember how it used to be? The question is, why isn't it like that now? One of the reasons is the sunnat of Allah is that when He gives you a bounty and you do kufran and ni'mat and you do nashukri, you reject that bounty in some way, He removes it from you. So now, what is the sunnat of Allah here? One sunnat of Allah is that when I give you someone very special and you do not appreciate him and you reject him and you treat him badly, then what happens? Then I will remove that special person. Imagine, Azizan Girami, imagine we had the wealth of something unbelievable, uncountable, behisab wealth we had in the personality of Amirul Mu'mineen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the ummat, Amirul Mu'mineen. What did we do? We, meaning humans. What did we do with the Amirul Mu'mineen? He gave us the best of the best, Imam Ali alayhi salam. We replaced him with the worst of the worst, Abu Bakr. He gave us the best of the best. He said, here, Imam Ali, we humans, meaning we rejected him. What happened? Amirul Mu'mineen, 25 years of his blessed life. He lived to 63. 25 years of his blessed life, we hardly have any records. Hardly have any records. 25 years of his blessed life. He sits on the mimbar and says, Saluni, Saluni, ask me. Anything you want to know, ask me. They asked him questions, stupid questions, like how many hairs do I have on my head? What is that if that is not kufran and ni'mat? What is that if that is not rejecting the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So the biggest bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not been appreciated. Look at the verses. I hope they'll put it on the screen for you. These are very important verses. The first one is from 14:7. La in shakartum la azidannakum. Asan. This one, we all know the first half. We probably don't know the second half. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you are grateful, I will enhance you in blessing. I give you a blessing, you thank me, you use it properly, I will enhance you. I'll give you more. La azidannakum. But what if you reject? What if you reject my bounty? Then what? Wala in kafartum inna adhabi lashadid. However, if you reject and if you are ungrateful and don't use it properly, then you will face my azab. What is the biggest bounty I've been saying? What is the biggest bounty? Sabse azim ni'mat-e khuda. What is the biggest bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The bounty of wilayat. Al-yawm akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakumul islama dina. Prophet raises Imam Ali's hand and says, Man kuntu mawla. You know the rest. This is of whoever I am the mawla. This Amirul Mu'mineen is the mawla. The people rejected him. What happened? He basically removed himself from society. We have rejected the biggest bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, He removes that bounty. Okay, I gave you Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is paraphrasing, yeah? Allah may say, I gave you Amirul Mu'mineen, you rejected him. I gave you Imam Hassan, you betrayed him. No problem. I gave you Imam Hussein, you killed him brutally. No problem. I gave you Imam Zainul Abidin, you imprisoned him. I gave you, etc., etc., etc. Again and again, one after the other, the Aimma alayhim wasalam come. Human beings don't appreciate them. They reject them. Now, He says, now I've given you my final hujjah, baqiyatullah. Now I've given you my final hujjat, baqiyatullah. Now I'm not taking any chances. Now no more chances. 11 of them you rejected. The 12th one is the special one, the final one. There's no Imam to come after him. So to protect him, I will put him into ghaybat. Now you feel how it feels to live without a wali of Allah. Now you see what happens when you remove the barakat of wali zaman. It happened in the previous prophets too. This is the sunnat of Allah, practice of God. He gave people prophets. People turned their backs. People behaved arrogantly. People rejected the prophets. He took away those prophets for a time. That let the people see, now I will leave you on your own hal. See what happens. And people suffered. Now this is baqiyatullah. So this is why Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He says, إِذَا غَضِبَ اللَّهُ, when Allah wishes to show His anger upon people, نَحَانَ عَنْ جِوَارِهِمْ, He removes us from their presence. We are in effect living in the time of the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we don't have waliya khuda in our midst. Now, there's other reasons behind ghaybat. Another reason we can point to is the fear of Imam Zaman being killed. To protect him, all the 11 Imams were killed. All the 11 Imams were either poisoned or killed by the sword. To protect him from this. Another reason is that to save him from the schemes of shaitan. Shaitan can never, ever, ever influence any of Ahlul-bayt alayhim wasalam. That's not what we're saying. But shaitan can influence certain people to act against Ahlul-bayt. For example, he instigated Ibn Muljim to act against Amirul Mu'mineen. So to save him from the schemes of shaitan. Another reason is that Allah never wanted Imam Zaman to live under any non-godly governments or institutions. To save him from that, he has been kind of kept in occultation. And fourthly, this is the big one. This is where I want to spend a little bit of time tonight. Allah took Imam Zaman into occultation and has prevented us from direct access to him to test us, mu'mineen. When you say to me, why does Allah not do something about this situation? I will respond to you like this. Is the test for Allah or is the test for us? Is Allah on trial or is He trying us? So when we say, why doesn't Allah do something? Excuse me, He is not on trial. He is trying us by these things happening. So all of these things have been mentioned, but we need to concentrate very much on this fourth one. That the reason behind ghaybat is to be tested. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was asked, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Why does the Imam, the 12th Imam, why does he have to go into occultation? And he replied, he is awaited, but Allah wants to test the Shias. Who are those people of batil and will fall into doubt? He wants to see who is going to fall into doubt. Who will, for example, support batil? Who will support haqq and the truth? Now, this is the main point of the evening. Someone asked 5th Imam, Mawla, when will your rescue, your faraj, when will this faraj and rescue happen. This is what Imam replied. We're all crying out for Imam Zaman. Yes, we all say, Allahumma ajjil li waliyika al-faraj. We all recite these things, Allahumma kulli. This is the answer. You want to know when Imam Zaman comes? This is the answer. Someone asked him, when will your faraj, when will the rescue happen? He replied like this, hayhata hayhat. Far be it, far be it. La yakunu farajuna. Our faraj and rescue will not happen. Hatta tugharbalu. Until you will be sifted. You understand sifted? Until you will be sifted. Thumma tugharbalu. And then you'll be sifted again. Thumma tugharbalu. Then you will be sifted again. 3 times he mentioned. The words of the Imams are like pearls. They don't just throw them. Everything is exactly how it should be. The words of the Imams are Hisab Shuda, Sanjida. They are actually very much the way they should be. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Baradikar salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. For the shifa of our dear brother, let's have continuous salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. 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 MashaAllah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him the spirit of Hazrat Kambar, inshallah. Now, Imam Baqir alayhi salam was saying, Hatta tugharbalu. You will have to be sifted. And you will have to be sifted again. And you'll have to be sifted again. Hatta yudhibullahu ta'ala al-qadar. Until Allah can separate from you the polluted from the pure. Is it our test or is it Allah's test? Is Allah on trial or are we on trial? When we say, why isn't Allah doing something? Let us concentrate on this. Allah knows what to do. Allah knows His wisdom. Allah knows how to plan. We don't need to teach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What He is expecting from us is, how many of you will remain pure? How many of you will become polluted? This is our faraj, our rescue will not happen until you are sifted and sifted and sifted again. Until again and again, mu'mineen, some will drop down, others will remain. Others will drop down, some will remain. Still others will drop down, a few will remain. So these tests during ghaibat are all part of the sunnat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, recite one salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Things will become so tough. Things will become so tough. Azizani Girami, we have to understand this. Things will become so tough that the Prophet has said that to protect one's faith in the akhiruz zaman, at the end of time, is like holding a hot charcoal in the palm of your hand. How would you hold it very, very quickly and very, very, it would feel so difficult to hold. This is how protecting the faith will be. In hadith it mentions, a person will wake up in the morning, deendar, religious. By the night time, he's lost his religion. A person will go to sleep, deendar, religious. By the morning, he's lost his religion. Things will happen. Things will be thrown at you, metaphorically. Things will happen in our lives. We will go through trials. We will be sifted and sieved and tried to such an extent until Allah is satisfied that now when I bring forth my wali from the occultation, now he has supporters who will support him. This is all the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi, he used to say that in the morning when I leave my house, I give Allah a qasam on the 14 masumeen. I say, Khudaya, by the haqq of these 14 masumeen, and I take their names. Khudaya, with the haqq of these 14 masumeen, return me back home while I still have my faith. You see how difficult, you see what kind of trials and tribulations are coming our way. But yes, Azizan, is there any hope? Are we all going to just be down and, times are too hard? There is always hope. And the hope is more than the despair. Because with hope you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you have Imam Zaman. And when there's Allah and there's Imam Zaman, nothing can defeat you. Whatever is happening in the world today, nothing will eventually defeat. Because there will always remain, even through that sifting process, don't think to yourself, what if I'm one of the people who fall? Say to yourself, I'll be one of the people who remain. Don't say, I'll be one of the people who fail. Say, I'll be one of the people who succeed. Because at the end of the day, after sifting and sifting and sifting, there will remain a very pristine, pure, maybe small number of people, but they will be better than any people in the history of mankind. This is what we understand from our ahadith. And Imam repays his followers. I always say this, Aimma alayhimus salam, kisi ka udhar nahi rakhte. They don't keep anyone's debt. You do anything for Aimma alayhimus salam, you do anything for Imam Zaman, he will take care of you. You do anything for Janab Fatima, she will take care of you. There was a great scholar, Sheikh Hassan Ali Tehrani. He mentions this. I'll finish with this. He mentions this. He says that on one occasion he was going to visit one of his friends in the hospital. And the family were there and the other people around them, the friends and the family were all there and they were all worried. And he's like, okay, what's happening? Tell me, what's the latest update? They said, look, he's been diagnosed with typhoid. Those days, a very serious illness. He's been diagnosed with typhoid and there's no chance of him getting better. He goes, well, what do you mean there's no chance? They said he needs to break his fever. His fever is too much. If he breaks his fever, the doctors have said that he has a chance, but he's just not breaking his fever. He said, do one thing. Make some chai. I'm going to smoke my pipe. By the time you bring the chai, he'll be fine. They said, what are you talking about, Agha? The doctors have come, the experts have come, the consultants have come. There's no hope. He says, go make my tea. They go. That whole process takes about 15, 20 minutes. By the time they bring the tea to this Agha Tehrani, they see that the patient has now begun to sweat and his fever is breaking. They said to him, Agha, we have tried so much. So many people have tried so many things. Nothing has worked. How did you have such yaqeen that he will get better? He said, listen, since I have worn these clothing of an alim, I have never been disloyal to Imam Zaman. And I said to myself, Agha, I have never done anything against you. I'm asking you one thing. I'm sure you won't reject me. And with that dua, I had the yaqeen. You do something for Imam alayhi salam. Don't ever think we're not good enough. We should think we're not good enough to, on one level. We should have humility. But don't ever think that now it's despair. I have no chance. I have no hope. To lose hope in Allah is itself gunah kabira. To lose hope in the mercy of Allah is itself a gunah kabira. Tell yourself, oh Imam Zaman, on this night of Babul Hawaij, on this night, protect our community, protect our maraji, protect our Islamic Republic, protect our Qum and Mashhad. And oh Allah, with the wasila of Babul Hawaij, I ask you, make me one of the soldiers of Imam Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Aizani Girami, we don't have much time. Let us move on to Masa'ib. Imam Musa Kazim, when we think of the mazlumeen of Ahlul-bayt alayhimus salam, when we think of the mazloom members of Ahlul-bayt alayhimus salam, of course, first thing we think of is Imam Hussein. Possibly then second we think of Imam Zainul Abidin. But I'm telling you, if you need a third as a physical mazloom, someone who was physically oppressed, look no further than Imam Musa Kazim. He was imprisoned, prison after prison. Each prison he goes to, he has such an impact upon the jailers that they turn into good people. Harun would say, how did you turn into good? I chose you because you were the most wretched person. He says, oh Caliph Harun, to look at this man changes us. When we see him, he's either in sajda, or he's fasting, or he's praying namaz. His nights are spent in namaz-e-shab. His days are spent in zikr. Every time he used to send someone that go and disturb this man, that person would come out changed. He would say, what's happened to you? He says, how can we disturb this man? We see nothing but purity and beauty in him. He sends a girl and he says, go and tempt the Imam. You know, he was so stupid. He thought that Imam could be tempted by these things. He sends a slave girl and he says, go and tempt him. She goes, she comes back. He says he doesn't need me. He doesn't want me. He sent me back. He says, no, go again. She goes again. Then he sends someone, go and spy on them. What are they doing? The person goes to spy. He sees that same slave girl in sajda reciting Subuhun Quddusun. That, oh Allah, I'm praying to you. I'm praying. Harun calls her. He says, tell me, how dare you? I sent you to do one thing. How can you be in sajda? She says, the moment I entered into Imam's presence, he said to me, I have no need of you. I said, Imam, I've been sent here. I have no other option. He then put his hand before my face. All of a sudden, I saw that I'm not in a jail. I'm in a garden. The garden is a beautiful garden with rubies and pearls and trees and flowers. I fell down on my face in prostration and I started to recite Subuhun Quddus. Harun could not believe this. Harun said, we need to do away with this man. Whatever I'm trying, I can't get him to come over to my side. I can't tempt him. I can't bribe him. I can't beat him. Then he sends him to the worst possible prison, the prison of Sindhi ibn Shaikh, Lanatullah alayh. When Imam is sent to that prison was something else. They say Imam could not stand properly. Imam had no access to sunlight. Imam would be beaten daily on his face. He would be whipped on his face. He would be beaten on his face. The time came when Imam, this mountain of sabr, Imam himself has to raise his hands and say, oh Allah, rescue me from these prisons of Harun. It's been 10, 12, 15 years that Imam is in jail. On one rare occasion, one of the Shias, he comes to Imam and says, Imam, we miss you. Now, how long will you be in prison? Imam says to him, don't worry. Come to the bridge of Baghdad on Friday and you will see me there. Ali, that companion, is excited. He tells everyone else that Imam has called us on Friday. He will be on the bridge. Let us go and meet him. They crowd there on Friday. When they reach there, they see that there is already a crowd on the bridge. When they see the crowd, they think maybe Imam has come. As they come closer, what do they see? They see that on the bridge there is a brittle, thin lash. And when they go closer, they see that it is Imam Kazim, and they see that the shackles and chains are still on the body of Imam Musa Kazim. We say salam to Imam Kazim. Imam Kazim, the only Imam to be killed whilst in prison. Every other Imam who was either arrested or imprisoned was released and killed. Imam Musa Kazim is the only Imam to be killed while in prison. They take his body, they bury him, they give him a place in the graveyard that we now today know as Kazimain. He was buried there. Our thoughts go to Abba Abdullah. Ya Abba Abdullah, this is Imam Musa Kazim, your great-grandson, buried in this way. How were you buried, oh Abba Abdullah? Bibi Zainab comes on 11th of Muharram, and when she reaches the body of Abba Abdullah, when she falls down there, she has two things to say. She says, Ya Abba Abdullah, is this really you? Is this really my brother Hussein? This is her first statement. The second statement is, they say she turns to Medina and she says, Assalamu alayki ya Rasulallah. Oh Prophet of Allah, our grandfather. Hadha al-Hussein. This is Hussein. Murammalun bid-dima. He's covered in his blood. Muqatta'ul a'dha. His body parts have been severed. Allah la'natullahi al-qawmi al-zalimeen. Wa sayallamu alladhina dhalamu ayya munqalibin yanqalibun. Matame Hussein.